How y'all feeling?
Good.
All right. Is everybody ready on the left, ready on the right? Yeah. Late okay at one year, so holding it down, bringing it Street Geek and Nerd Soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of On Screen. That's right, we're talking about TV, all that jazz. We got two awesome folks with us. We're going to get going real quick because we talk about the boys. Right here is a boy by the name. Look, man, I can't. What can I tell you? He's
really
won a
low
Purple
effort.
Heart. All right, he's won a Purple Heart. All right, the man is hero to many, legend to many. Nate Miller.
All of these things are 100% true. And I'm here to bring my Purple Heart superhero expertise to this discussion about the boys.
That's right. That's right. And then also, bottom square, International Man of Mystery, Times Man of the Year. You may also know him as the hero in the movie Air Force One. That's right. It wasn't Harrison Ford. It was this man, Clement Bryant. What's up?
I mean, I wish, but you know, also I'm black and Harrison Ford is cool. So, you know, but anyways, what are we doing today?
All right, we're getting into The Boys. The Boys is back, season 2. Premiere is, first 3 episodes. They dropped them online. They were like, here you go. Are you ready for that Amazon Prime? Clement Bryant, if you could, after watching the first 3 episodes, what's your general feeling? Are you like, this is looking better than season 1? Is it not? Where you at with it?
I have to structure my thoughts very carefully because of certain things I was involved in.
Okay.
But that said, I think the show season 2 is a natural progression of season 1. That said, I like a lot of stuff that they did, but I will give it to the showrunners and producers that they had no idea what 2020 was going to become. And now that we kind of see, especially at the end of in the episode 3 that we'll get into, it kind of, I wonder if they really had a conversation on, should we push it back? Should we keep going with it because of everything that happens during the course of these 3 episodes and how it kind of dovetails into what's going on in our society right now. So I do like what they did. We will get into the Stormfront character because we're going to have a lot of discussions around that, of course, being Black people. But yeah, I definitely like the things that they did about the show and like kind of how they flip things on the heads from the comic book. So that's what I'll say right now.
All right. Homie Nate, where you at with it?
I liked it a lot. I think it very much reminded me of the same energy and like themes of the first season. Speaking broadly, I was really surprised that we got deeper into like characters like the Deep, no pun intended. And also even A-Train too got more of a personality than just I run really fast and I'm an asshole. So that was cool too. And I don't know, like obviously like there's some things that I'm kind of like, all right, let's see where this goes. I do feel like there was a little bit, I think the choice for them to drop these 3 episodes together was intentional, because I mean obviously it was intentional, but I think the idea was that the first 2 felt kind of slow, honestly. The first one felt very much like a catch up, almost like an epilogue of last season, which is cool if you're watching them. If you're watching them straight through, like, yeah, that's totally cool. But the second episode was pretty interesting, and the third episode is where like you really start to understand like what the plot of this season is going to be about. Bless you. So I don't know. I like the season so far. I like it a lot. I think the new characters are interesting. I think the older characters they're not just the same characters this season, at least so far. So I'm pretty optimistic about the rest of the season.
What up? I coming up off of this, what I wanted more of in season 1, I think we're starting to get a little more of in season 2, hopefully. I really liked. I think I talked to Clement about this. I really like the Big Brother versus Big Corporate, but I feel like we kind of just skipped around it in season 1, where I'm like, I feel like this is like a really big deal, and we're just kind of like skip. But in season 2, it seems like they're finally, big government is the wheels turn slow. So it seems like they're finally catching up to it, because that is very interesting. I mean, even if we were just going to state it plain, let's say Jeff Bezos goes and kills somebody in broad daylight. Is he going to get arrested? I mean, is he? Maybe. How will that go?
Even if he does, he would never be charged.
Will he be charged?
We all know he would never be charged.
And
he's like,
so what do we do with these kind of super citizens, quote unquote? What do we do? So I like that. I really want to see that explored a little more. I mean, I know we got the hero stuff, but I think that was a very important part to me in season 1. And I was like, oh, snap. And I feel like they picked it up for like an episode and maybe a half and then just dropped it. But it seems to be more important here. Big Brother Almighty, no matter what he's in, I got love for him. And then I like to see the further exploration of, and I can't remember her name, the young lady that's doing sign language. We found her. I can't remember her name. Kimiko. All right. So we find her in season 1, and she kind of just like, oh snap, she's kind of sweet, but all right, what are we doing with this character? And seeing her emote through her sign language and everything, I was like, wow, she's giving it. All right.
Yeah.
She's giving it. I think it's stupid that your boy Huey keep calling old girl. It's like, dude, they got technology, fool. But besides that, we'll get into that later.
I know we need to talk about that.
It's like, they got technology. You calling her like, look, haven't you watched The Wire? Like, yo, dump that burner, get another one, son.
Yo, let me interrupt you real quick.
You think Huey has watched The Wire? Huey has not watched The Wire. No, there's no way that Huey has watched The Wire.
He's been listening to a little bit too much Usher, too. He got it bad.
Let it burn.
He got it bad.
Homie said, you're my second win. I felt that. Because I've made that call before, but I was just like, bruh, people try to kill you. See, when I made that call, I was just sitting in my house chilling, not in danger.
I mean, but we gotta look at Huey's mindset. His mindset is he doesn't have his dad, and he says this. He doesn't have his dad. Yeah. He doesn't have his job. His girlfriend got killed by a soup.
Yeah,
like literally, and his life changed on a dime. And this is the only thing he has. And even then, Butcher is elsewhere. You don't know where Butcher is in the first couple episodes. Mother Milk doesn't like him. Frenchie's the only person that he can really talk to. You can't talk to the female. So what else is there going to be for him other than calling Starlight, who he fucked that relationship too by lying to her? So it's kind of like,
but he's kind of getting it back a little bit. He getting it back a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, we'll talk about it.
Before we jump in, big shout out to Milk for wearing a new hip hop shirt every day. I didn't notice it in season 1, but I am noticing it now. Thank you, my brother. A woo for you, like we do on BBL. Also, Public Enemy. Shouts out to look, hey, we here. You know what I'm saying? We here.
We got it.
Let's jump in. Let's jump in the deep. You know what? For a character that I think is whack, for a character that has done some scummy stuff, I kind of feel even worse for him now, because mentally he ain't ready, y'all. He ain't ready.
No,
he ain't there. And now he getting tied up in this the first chair, the conglomerate church or whatever.
It's Scientology.
Yeah, it's Scientology.
It's like,
I mean, it's identical to Dynetics.
It's like my dude, like you.
And it makes sense too with the way that the Hawkeye knockoff recruited him to, and we see that the Hawk in the background there's a posters of him with the Kroger thing, and he mentions the Kroger thing as being an event for him, so he has a sponsorship deal or something with them.
That was weird.
So
I was like,
really weird.
I think it's really interesting because they if you had only seen the first season, my impression of the Deep is he's irredeemable. He's an awful character. And I'm not going to say that he's redeemable now, but he
Nah.
does have more depth, and that makes for a more interesting character. Like him exploring his self-hatred and his hatred of his gills and his body and stuff like that is interesting, especially put against the dichotomy of, you know, believing his whole life that he was like God made him this way, or it was a freak accident or whatever, and then finding out that no, you were actually created by some serum or something. Like that adds a whole new thing of like questioning identity and stuff. So that makes him in this sensitive space very malleable to people who would want to take advantage of him. So this cult getting their fingers into him and then directing him to get back into the Seven, this is definitely laying the groundwork for something that is going to come more into play later. I mean, like,
because you know, you have the power of the church. Kind of like
Scientology, but they have they have a couple superheroes instead of like Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Like the big parallel in this show is celebrity worship to like superheroes, like because and that's why I love the concept of this show so much, because while I love comics, like so much of it is so unrealistic. If we had Superman, the chances that he would be that benevolent and actually like care about these beings that are so beneath him, like, is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? It's incredibly unlikely. It's more likely that he would just subjugate us and we would just all serve Superman because he's Superman. Like, I
fight back a little bit on that since all we see is so many heroes that are like leaning to the evil side, there's got to be a couple that are like either like, yo, I'm super powerful, like I'm on the level of like a Homelander, but I'm just not interested in being a hero at all. Or I'm actually trying to do good. It's like, because just like people in real life, you know, we have the ability to be good or bad. There's some people that's super bad, some people that's super good, and some people that's like around the middle. And so maybe not. Maybe if he was raised by some good folks.
I love you for being that optimistic about people, but what I know about humans and what history shows us about humans is power corrupts, and superhuman power is a level that we haven't even fathomed. So
I'll give you that.
Why I love this show is that if we did have a superhero team like the Justice League, right, it would be like the Seven. Like we would see, you know, every now and then you'd see them flying over, or you'd see them on the news, and they would do promo. Like that's just the world that we live in. There would be a corporation around their marketing and around selling the toys and has the copyrighted, so they would have to do events, and then they'd have to like that. This is the world that we live in, which also means that this guy, this Superman that you see, you read comics about, that's not who he really is. When he's not on camera, he's out, you know, doing orgies or like killing innocent civilians or whatever, because he can. And what are you going to do about it? I'm Superman. So that's why I love this show, exploring that concept. And I think while I do agree with you, I would have loved to have them dive a little bit deeper into the Vought corporate stuff. I think they did a good job of that in showing how the Seven and Vought were pushing to get that military contract. I think that was very big. But also I think for the this is a great show for people who haven't explored this side of comics. We had this discussion a little bit before we started, but I'm a big Watchmen fan. I'm a big Garth Ennis fan. So I haven't read this whole series, but I've read a couple of the arcs before the show came out. So I am so immersed into comic book and superhero culture that I am familiar with when people start to break those tropes and try to explore the kind of other areas. But a lot of other viewers who are newly being introduced to superhero stuff because of MCU, because of, you know, the new Justice League, the new Batman stuff, these concepts of like, what if the superheroes aren't actually good? What if they're corrupt too? Like, because they're regular people. I think giving them a season to get that, and then moving on to, okay, by the way, the corporate structure of the lab from the scientist guy who literally came from Nazi Germany. He's here to create superheroes in America for this company to use for their own purposes. Like that's deep. Like we touched on it a little bit, but like you got to give it some time to breathe. Because I mean, obviously having Gustavo Fring explain where the scientist came from, and then also having a character named Stormfront, who in the comics is a literal. Not only is Stormfront in the comics a literal Nazi, but he was actually like in Nazi Germany. So this is definitely going to come into play.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go. I'm done. I don't want. I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna take a break.
No, you good.
And Hitler deemed Stormfront in the comics too violent for him. So you got to think about that in the comics. And then you're adapting that character to live action. So regardless
Yeah.
of changing the character from a male to female, that power imbalance and that corruption is still going to be there. So when I heard maybe a year ago that they were putting Stormfront, and I was like, okay, guys, this is gonna be very. I was like, you guys are gonna literally put a literal Nazi in the TV show after Black Klansman came out. Yeah, I watched Preacher.
It's the same production team,
right? So
they're
Rogen,
pushing.
Yeah.
They already pushed boundaries doing that show, and then being able to do this on Amazon Prime on the internet, and they're like letting them just do whatever they want, and it's
they're basically like on HBO right
I
now.
love it, but I was like, oh, Stormfront.
I know
I was like, okay, guys,
it's tough, but also like. I'm gonna defend Garth Ennis here, and also like the showrunners, because I think this is important. Like again, like if this was real, the people who were doing human tests on people and who were allowed to just have subjects nonstop to test were the Nazis. And the US also took a lot of Nazi scientists in after the war and covered up where they came from and used their research for their own purposes. So this is not only is this a very American thing, it's a very real historic thing that happened. So I think it's important in the conversation to include that. I mean,
you're right. I mean, and even we're talking like. Yeah, and even we're talking about like comics, like Hunters delves into that a little bit. If you guys watch Hunters from Jordan Peele, like the show digs into that. Captain America, Winter Soldier. Like even though that it's in the comics and our media, like you're saying, Nate, this is a very real thing that we need to do. And the way that they're tapping into Stormfront in these first 3 episodes is very interesting. It's kind of like, okay, cool, she's cool, she sees things how we do, and then that 3rd episode, light switch. So. Yeah, well, we should keep on talking because there's a lot of things that we should be talking about with these 3 apps.
Yeah. So, I guess on to kind of the daddy's home side of things. You know, you got Huey. Huey's, look, Butcher ain't nowhere to be found. All right.
No.
Don't nobody know nothing. They in the basement, funky stank, taking hoe baths. All right. Don't nobody know nothing. They just on the low, and of course Huey has this plan. You're like, yo, look, hey, if we could just expose them, all right, we expose them, we win. And I like the struggle between kind of Huey and this pseudo father figure / rival-ish kind of vibe that he has with Butcher, because I think it is helping him kind of like level up, and I think it's going to hopefully open Butcher's eyes up to kind of like, yo, you have a team similar to what's his name, old girl's mom from Blacklist. She was like, I love how you treat your team. He was like, because I'll neutralize her. When he says neutralize, he doesn't mean like put her into neutral. He means put her into the ground.
Right. You getting funky.
So I do like that through
Jenna James in the chat says Butcher is like Deadpool and Punisher. I wouldn't agree with Deadpool, but I would definitely say Punisher. He's definitely a take on the gritty, will do anything regardless of morality to do what I feel like I need to do kind of guy. And I also like, I feel like you're not supposed to like Butcher right now. Like, even though you kind of sympathize with his, missing family and stuff, he repeatedly makes decisions that are selfish and like brash. And I think the show is not airing on his side intentionally. I like Butcher as a character, and I agree with you. I think the dynamic between him and Huey is very interesting, and Mother's Milk hit it on the head. Like, he has to have Huey around to like keep him from going over the edge, because Huey represents like normalcy almost,
or someone who's trying.
Yeah, well, in many ways, he's also the audience's point of view, right, into this world that we don't know a lot about. But Butcher is so far gone, so jaded, that he almost starts to resemble like the bad guys sometimes. So I think that focus that episode, especially with him like eventually coming back to pull him out of the whale, like or not pull out of the whale when he helps him up later. It's really meaningful, and I think that's what eventually is going to lead to some type of change in Butcher. What that actually will manifest as, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're not sure.
But it's cool that Huey is like, they are developing him more than just being like, I'm the whiny weak guy here to like provide comedic relief with the team. Like, I like that he got that bonding episode without Butcher there with the rest of the team. That was really cool. Yeah. Also, that montage with the cutback between him and Starburst Girl, whatever, that was really cool. Showing the dichotomy of her, like, again, like reinforcing this show's commentary on class structure, like the superheroes being this uplifted celebrity class, she's living in luxury. But at the same time, showing that even with all of that stuff, they're both still kind of caged. They're both not free. Like, he's obviously on the run, so that's why. But her, even in her life of luxury, like, she can't really do what she wants.
She can't really leave. She can't just be like, I don't want to be on the 7 no more. Like, I don't think they'll let her leave. And I do think the way the 7 are, let's play this out. If she was like, yo, I don't want to be in the 7, I'm leaving, I don't like none of y'all be lying and stuff. What I see is a mission gone wrong where Starlight dies. I mean, that's what I really see.
That whole funeral for the invisible dude, like, that was nuts.
That was
the whole thing.
I was watching that and I was like, yo, this is how people be doing stuff. Because, homie, I was like, so you just going to politicize this funeral right now? Right here? Right
and
now?
And then also use his death to be like, oh, yeah, he wants us to go after these super terrorists. Like, oh, come on,
like,
dude.
Yep.
I don't know about all that.
And the song and
I just have to say, like, it's genius to think of like, oh, we'll just hold a funeral for him. No one can see him anyways.
It's like no one can see him anyways. We'll just put it in a glass box. That was, man.
That
and then shouts to Zia said, Butcher reminds me of Slade and Red Hood. I guess I could kind of sort of see that. It is kind of like that similar energy. But I'm glad that we're getting some movement on that, because I do think in these first 3 episodes we're getting character arc movement that I don't think we got enough of for me in season 1. So I think we're getting character arc movement for everybody in a good way.
Yeah, Butcher is a lot worse in the comics.
A lot worse. A lot worse.
That's why I was glad that they did have that scene where he like tries to shoot the brother, even after Huey goes over and says, no, it's the brother. And he's like, okay. Like, that is more Butcher than we've gotten. Like, there's some in the first episode, he's kind of raw, but for the most part, they've tamed him down a lot. So it's kind of interesting to see them kind of riling that up again. Because again, like, Garth Ennis like has this, he doesn't like superheroes. And even though the Butcher leads this team that goes after superheroes, like, he's not exactly favorable in his writing of the Butcher and the character. So even in the adaptation, they seem to be, even though they've toned him down a little bit, I don't consider him a hero at all. I don't think most people watching the show would.
Should you? Yeah.
I do. One thing that I did like is that we got a couple of pieces from the CIA side, where she was like, yo, this is a coup. And like us watching her like, yeah, we've been screaming this at the screen on you. You're not listening to us. But she was like, yo, I think it's a cue from the inside. And then it was like, boom. I was like, oh, do you know how much power you have to kill the CIA deputy director in broad daylight? Like, that's why I'm like, yo, I like this side. Like, this has to come to a head. Like, what? And I mean, of course, I know we have the comics, but everything isn't, it's weird. You have fans that are like, this is in the comics. And then when they change some stuff, they're like, cool. And when they change others, they don't. And it's like, I'd be interested in seeing this come to a head on the governmental side, because there's got to be some recourse.
Oh yeah, I think between that and also like the exposing of the Compound V.
Yep.
I think we're gonna see Vought like crumble probably, and then maybe like the 7 will be on their own, which could potentially be even scarier than being unleashed.
Yeah. And then you have like
Well,
A
let's be honest,
Train. Like A Train was like, look, you don't mess with the money.
Yeah,
It
and
was
that's
like,
why I think
look,
like
he-
it's yeah, it's that's what I mean is like it's some character depth for him. Like that is kind of, and while that sounds stupid because that's like a really shallow thing, like he does have a point though. He didn't come from a
nope.
background, a lavish background like she did, and now like that's how they control you, right? They you have natural talent, they take your talent, they take advantage of it, they exploit it, and they keep you comfortable, they keep you satiated with this, with that, with drugs or whatever,
Money,
and
drugs,
that's
cars.
what keeps you from realizing that you're not fulfilling your potential, you're being controlled or whatever, right? You become complacent. It's the Stockholm syndrome. So seeing him actually like verbalize that but also not like expose them, that gives me some hope that we might see a Train, you know, even though it's obviously it's still terrible he killed Huey's girlfriend. That was an accident and he was on drugs. So like I could see there being like a redemption arc for him where he ends up helping them, you know, and take down the Seven in some regard. I think that'd be
because there
Yeah.
is there's some tension in the Seven. We got we got Homelander. Homelander's just living it up, minding his business. He's like, oh snap, I got a kid, son. And not only do I have a kid, he probably just like me. I want to be a daddy now. And I'm pretty sure everyone watching is like, no, you don't need a Homelander daddy. No. You don't need no Homelander daddy. And the way he imposes his will over just like like the doctor calls the doctor. He's like, hey, what they gonna do? But one thing that I've always thought about this show, and I've only read like one issue of the comics because when you get to extreme levels of violence, I'm just not interested like that. Whether it's horror or whatever, I'm just like, I feel that you can make a commentary on policy, public society, all that stuff without being extremely violent. But for someone who talks a lot of crap, there's a lot of people on Earth. You might not be the strongest. I'm saying you might not be the strongest. And I haven't read the books. But at the same time, the books don't matter because this is an adaptation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
so
I agree with you.
Change.
It's so far it's certainly presented like he is the strongest, but that doesn't mean to speak that there isn't. I mean, even someone like Stormfront, it appears like poses a threat. He's already envious of her ability to like command people's attention and stuff. And so
he was hating from the sidelines.
She seems to be pretty strong. And again, this is a different canon from the comic books, but in the books, Stormfront is someone who does challenge Homelander, who does actually pose a threat, and they're on a similar power level. So it's an interesting introduction into like to have him, especially going off of last season. Like he's so strong. I'm thinking like okay, we have Superman here, like, but then you have Superman problem of like, all right, well there's only kryptonite and every plot line is kryptonite, but they did a good job, I think, of
or mind control
between the son and that weakness with the the mom, and then also like his weird insecurity with Wonder Woman and the milk thing.
Yeah,
and also now, like,
that was
taking
his. Look, all right, just drink milk regular, bruh. He ain't had to do all that. Stop it. All right, stop it.
Yeah, it's a little bit
drink
much.
milk.
Yeah.
First thing, it was nasty in the first place. All right, you are look. She's dead, man. Don't you see that as weird? But anyway, you're drinking the milk up. You're drinking it up.
Just be happy they changed it because in the comics it's mother's milk that drinks it, and if he doesn't, he does.
Which is why, and one thing I think the one thing that around Homelander, around Stormfront, is he loses control to control the Seven, right? Because he says that, oh wait, I had a hand in bringing all these people into the Seven, and now you have Stan, who makes the decision to bring Stormfront in. And when you start when you meet her from the jump, he's like, no, he's like, you don't control shit, bro. You don't control shit. I control everything around here. So I think that's also part of it, why he's not, I don't think scared is the one thing, but he's threatened by her existence in this group. Yeah. And we also get part of, hey, while the whole breast milk thing is a little weird, he's like, I didn't have parents. I didn't have family. I didn't have nothing. So, which is why he's so far gone. Kind of like how the Deep is. He's so far gone. He has no concept of family, what it means to be a dad, what it means to be this is too far, or this is too much. So,
and shouts to Jenna James talking about Jesse T. Jesse T said, "Don't play with my money. Don't play with my money, girl. No. Don't play with that money." And back to Homelander, that scene with his son pushing him down, I got and I can't remember. I got these ideas of like, what if your son's stronger than you? And your son don't put your hands on, look, don't mess with no kid's mama. I'm just letting you know. Now, he already said, I hate you. Don't come back here. Now you all hurt and conflicted. Now your little Homelander feelings hurt. And the boy had the strength to at least push you down. Now, of course, you were caught off guard, but there ain't no guarantee that you always gonna be the strongest. You know what I'm saying?
You have that on both fronts.
Everybody has been on the mountaintop once or twice, but can you stay there? You know what I'm saying? And also, we got I can't think of it. Keen's mama talk about the Liberty hero. That's another piece that we got in. So I do think there's other people that could challenge Homelander in a very interesting way. If we're going to, because we're basically following the Justice League. So if we're following the Justice League, out of the Justice League, we know Wonder Woman can go head up with him to a standstill. We've seen it. We've seen Batman. We'll let it go. We've seen Batman beat up Superman. We know if Flash wanted to take him on, he probably could. And Martian Manhunter. Now, of course, Martian Manhunter isn't in here. And I'd actually give Martian Manhunter.
Superman would crush everyone on the Justice League. If
he's very susceptible to mind control, and that's Martian Manhunter's whole thing. He's not faster than the Flash, and the Wonder Woman has fought him to a standstill.
He doesn't have to be faster than the Flash. The Flash can't hurt him.
Right,
but the Flash can mess with the time travel on him in a very weird way.
But even then, the only person that kind of poses a real credible threat to Superman,
I don't think it's
Batman.
A reach.
Batman might be human, but Batman has endless resources. He has endless resources and his strategy.
He's still human.
Yeah,
he's still human. But
if we're gonna give Batman as much love as we give, how are we not going to give him Flash?
Okay, let's not.
Let's not do this.
But what I'm saying is with other members on the squad that could challenge you. No one's here to guarantee that you're going to be the big dog forever. And I think Stan kind of put that idea forth when he rolled up on Stan, and Stan was like, I don't know if you're looking for a bit, but ain't no bit here. Just letting you know. You thought you was the product. No. You know what I'm saying? We hustling that compound B. That's the product. All right, so you take your butt right back to where you was, and I'll handle this business.
Yeah, I mean, Homelander's a marketing tool. That's why they have him dressed up with the flag, and he's a blonde dude, and he's got the whole fake backstory about the baseball and the integration with the church and all that stuff. Like, it's a marketing thing.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Was it Capes for Christ? I was like, yo, man, she had to do homie like that, it was all right.
Yo, that scene was nuts.
Because I wanted to get into that with Starlight.
I want to say something about the gory really quick, because you mentioned that I'm also really not, in general, a big fan of gore, especially like gratuitous things where I don't think it serves any purpose. I do have to say, though, even though it still makes me uncomfortable in this show because they really go over the top, I do think it serves a purpose, just like in the comics.
Yep.
Superhero comics are so like unrealistically edited when you have these massive scenes of violence and destruction going on.
Yeah.
And I think showing what it really would be like if someone who can just bust through a brick wall snapped your wrists, like it wouldn't just be like, they snap. No, like you would have teared skin and blood would shoot out and you'd see some bone. Like, these people are incredibly strong. Like, when you cook someone with lasers, it doesn't just lasers. No, like you burn holes in their brains and you see the matter. So like that also, seeing the heroes do this and then seeing the dichotomy of them go back to like the 7 base where everything is spotless and clean and everything is nice and everyone's being all PR like that. It's important, I think, in this regard, thematically into the story, that when they are in action, it's like, oh my God, like, because they're all like monsters, really. Like,
right. And it also reminds you like that scene between Ashley and the blind dude that was supposed to be like trying out to be like the new member of the 7, and Homelander's like bang, and you start to see the blood gush out from his head when he's on the ground. It kind of reminds you that, oh wait, Homelander, if you forgot, is a really messed up individual who has super strength and supervision that doesn't like crippled people, that doesn't like anything like that other than what represents his idea of what should be the 7, of a member of the 7. So
what happened if Superman or Daredevil came after Superman?
I mean,
Clap.
the same thing.
When I saw him doing this thing, I was like, "Oh, word, he's Daredevil."
That was pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, that's crazy. I mean, he was like, what if someone does this? Honestly, it's not a fair assessment. Now, of course, do I think he would win the fight? No, but his guard is down. He's not expecting you to attack him because that's not what this is. You can't really do that. That's a little unfair. But you know what I'm saying? He told old girl, he said, yo, look, I choose. You don't tell me nothing. And then Stan was like, I'll tell you something.
Psych. Yeah, I mean, also too, like, great representation of this show continues to criticize and give commentary on like the war industrial complex that America has and the way that we profit off war and how it is almost just like another product that we market in order to make money so we can sell things, right? And seeing like the focus group too, like and then
that was fun.
Commercial, like that was great. And I do think it's clever the way
because Homelander thinks all of his ideas are like the dopest. So
like, refuses to believe. They don't know what they're talking about. Like it's very
like
Homelander.
This is what their job is. We're doing a focus group to see, like, what he was like, I don't care. Or even when Stan was like the super terrorist, he was like villain. He was like, man, look, whatever. Like, look, I'm tired of you. Like,
right.
It's just I think when it comes to Homelander, the arc with him and his like kind of like broken heart, I'm interested to see where that goes. Because I thought it was kind of funny how he tried to like. It's funny how you try to come and have like a heart to heart, but you've always been like this vapid, narcissistic. So it's like you can't even do that. Like he came to was it Maeve or whatever? It was like it's like speak words. He's like he's just patting her hand. It's like, are you going to say what's going on? But on the other side with her, her breaking down like why she could never have a real relationship was very interesting. Was like, whoa, okay. Now we got a very, which is, it's kind of like a commentary on those like, you're mine and you're always mine. Because it's like, he's not even like really dating her or anything, but just, he's like, I don't want no one else to have you. Because he said the place was on fire, but his head was in one place and his torso was in the other place or whatever. It's like, you know, cover-ups be going, I mean, of course they be covering up, but it's like, dude, if someone had to sit him down after that one and be like, look, Homelander, check it, look. I know you want to kill people.
No.
But you got to help us help you. People are going to ask questions.
No. There's
Put
no
the
way
whole
that
body
happened.
in one section.
Nope.
No.
Nobody said that because that dude would end up dead too. Vought just covered it up. They have a bunch of money. They have a whole level in their building devoted to handling stuff that Homelander does and like covering it up.
They're a
corporation.
Yeah. Like they're gonna be like, oh wait. And the whole thing is like, no one can check Homelander except for Stan. That's the important thing to remember.
Yep.
There's a little people that can check him. And that's why Stormfront comes into the season. That's why she exists in the season. Like, and I'm not excusing any of the racism that she portrays, but that's her chief reason about being.
We'll get into that in a second. We still got some other stuff to touch on, but I'll get into
we should talk about that. We should talk about a lot of her scenes though with Starlight too. The whole like media circus thing that goes on. That's a really good scene because that's actually how it is behind the scenes. That's actually how it is. Press tours are exactly like that. And they really hit that nail on the head. But also, I really like how Stormfront kind of comes at Starlight. It's like, hey, we're the women. We should all be together. Like, that's a really important scene for the show.
It's a great commentary, like just like you said with the press tour and the whole like girls got it thing. Like
what is it? Girls get it done, I think,
or something like that.
Yeah, girls got it now. Something
but it's like it's a great example of this, performatory activism, just like we have now for like BLM and stuff, like, but also with pink feminism, where like you see it becomes trendy to do it. So that's literally the only reason why they do it. And they even express that, when you have the social media manager who's now been promoted. So like seeing them that actually act out was really great. Like, especially like they just nailed it. The way that it looked with them shooting, the promos and then the behind the scenes and them talking to each other. And I agree. Like, I think it serves a purpose narratively for her to be able to have this connection with Starlight, even though Starlight doesn't really know who she is. But also I think it's commentary on the way that a lot of people are and how they follow social media personalities or something, and they think that they know them, and they may agree in some areas, but you don't know that you really vehemently disagree with them on other areas. That's how they snake you in and start to like open you up
it's
to
like this person is so amazing.
Even her going on this diatribe of like, why do you care what people think to you, as she's on like Instagram Live all the time talking to her fans. Like it's all an act. It's not real. Like it in the same way that like it's trendy to be like pro-feminism, it's also trendy to be like, hey, don't care about social media as you post on social media how people shouldn't
like
care about
every bite of your sandwich.
So
don't get me started.
So I really like that this show is introducing those themes. I don't feel like they're laying too heavy on it, but it feels natural for the characters, especially in the time and place that we're in. Like, if we had superheroes, they would be all over Instagram and Twitter. Like, of course they would be, because people would be dying for that kind of content.
Yeah, they would be lapping that stuff up. And because we'll get into, since we're on Stormfront, I'll get into Twitter and everything in a second. But it is not lost on me, before we even get on Stormfront, it is not lost on me what her name is. It is not lost on me that she is a commentary on white feminism and its performative nature to a certain degree. And at all. It's not lost on me. I understand. I get the themes. I get it. So before we even go there, and I know there's going to be some people in the chat or in the comments like, well, you just don't understand. You just don't get it. You cover all these shows and somehow this is the only one you just don't get. So I get it. But back to Stormfront, one thing that I think was interesting is when it comes to her in this performative nature, the behind the scenes of how she, at least how it looks that she views the team. It seems like she came up like, oh, all y'all my background dancers. like y'all here to be my background dancers. I'm running this. Even when she's like, snooze you lose, Gramps. like I got here first. Too bad. And I will say one thing. I'm surprised and happy Kimiko got away free, because like that could have, I was definitely expecting that scene to end with her dying as well, because I was like, all right, they both up there, but they kind of just let that go. So I was like, all right, cool. Maybe she thought like, yo, she dead, so it's all right. You know what I'm saying? But you see her go from, oh, I'm so woke, and oh, I've got notes for this movie. Oh, it's so you only treat women like this. And it's like a perfect example of like Blurtish said earlier, said it was basically like a super Becky, like extremely woke, extremely with the times, fighting for the righteous side, And then behind the scenes, it's like you one of the most vile people.
Mhm.
And like you're horrible. But you have this like, hey guys, I'm out here on Instagram Live. It's just me being happy and woke all the time. And it's like, nah,
Well, but also
nah.
too, it's also that kind of Donald Trumpish character because
Hmm?
her whole reason
Right.
for going there is to like expose them, to be like, see, they're not actually on a base. You think they'd ever actually really go to a base? We're really on a set.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nuance to the character. I think it's interesting that they decided to switch the character from a man to a woman. I definitely think that is intentional. I think it's a good choice, especially in terms of having something that will clash against Homelander. And it also gives her character a lot more nuance. I also want to say too, her character is Jewish, or not her character is Jewish, but the actor who's playing her is Jewish.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the other. I was like,
For what it's worth.
and
Oh,
she
go ahead.
even said, "Oh no, Nate, were you gonna say something?"
No,
No, you.
But yeah, even like that was one of the things because when I heard that they were just like, I had Cash, I was like, really? I was like, she has no problem playing this character, and she even talks about, her agent was like, hey, you have to really decide if this is something that you want to do because this is not going to be an easy character for you to play. She's like, no, it doesn't really concern me because of the showrunner and the things that they're talking about in the show, and she had a really, really good conversation before she signed on to the character with Eric Kripke, who is the showrunner of the show, being like, okay, this is what we're doing this. And even you go on her Instagram account and she's like, no, Stormfront's a shitty person. But it's the way that she's acting it and the way that she's trying to tell the story of the character that kind of ladders back to what's going on society right now. But that said, man, I think Kimiko gets away because Stormfront is taking pleasure in the kill of killing her brother. She's taking pleasure, and she kind of relishes the kill of snapping off his neck. So, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that too. So,
Oh yeah,
I think it's something that a lot of people in the chat should probably get used to because it's not going to go away anytime soon. Not with her.
Nah. I think the crazy is here to stay, and we're going to see how crazy Homelander and Stormfront are, and if that crazy kind of just crumbles everything around them, because I don't know if a house can handle both of them at the same time. But speaking of Stormfront and that scene, early on, I think it was Sunday or Saturday, there was a tweet online. Blur Girl tweeted, she was like, warning to my BIPOC followers, if you're currently traumatized by images of our people being physically brutalized, killed, and then being used for propaganda, then episode 3 will be very upsetting. Look up the word Stormfront and you'll realize why this woman is not, all caps, a hero. And she was responding to someone saying, yes, I've read the original comic. Yes, I know the character was male and neo-Nazi from jump. No, there is no way the creators could have known when they wrote or shot this that 2020 would be like it is, or like this. This warning is for my followers who are unfamiliar with the comic. So I weighed in and I said, familiar or not with the comics, I think my people are tired of this. Quote, hey, black people, we want you to live this every day and then come down to Amazon and watch it happen to you again, bring the popcorn. But honestly, I've never been super sold on this show. Like I've told you guys, I've been on the fence with this show since the jump. And something that I thought was interesting is the response throughout the weekend at this. And the response has been mostly like, hey, well, you can just change the channel. Hey, well, you can just turn. And the issue here is similar to what we've seen a lot of, or what I've seen a lot of when it comes to Doctor Who fans. Doctor Who fans might be like, hey, man, Doctor Who is kind of cool. But when it comes to, any type of native people, then the show's not too cool and the way they handle them isn't great. And most people, in most cases, white people would say like, hey, look, just don't watch. And there's this large energy of that comes from kind of like this psychosis of whiteness, which is like, well, if you don't like it, just get out. And it's like, well, no, I'm not saying that I don't like it. I'm saying that this show is cool, but the way they handled this was not cool. And it's interesting that in this world of like watching and talking about and enjoying, critiquing is cool until you touch on something that has to do with, in most cases, Black death. And the reason I talk about that is because there's been a lot of people saying, like, oh, you're a drama queen. Oh, get over it. You don't live this every day, this type of thing. And I would fire back and say that today is the 251st day of the year. And out of those 251 days, in this year alone, 123 Black people have been killed by police.
Yep.
Then add in the people that were killed by white citizens, aka Ahmaud Arbery, or the older gentleman that was shot in Baton Rouge, I believe, last week outside of Trader Joe's. Now, 123 is around half of 251. So when we see these deaths, these videos, they don't play for just one day and stop. These videos and these posts and these articles that are shared go on for days and weeks. So we're constantly inundated and living through this trauma of Black death over and over. Now, I've had Black people respond and say like, oh, well, you know, it's just too much. You're just doing too much. Don't worry about it. And my argument to that is, how many times do we see the wanton destruction and complete disregard for, let's say you brought up the actress is Jewish. Would we see this to a Jewish community that was outlined as Jewish? Like when we got to this area, we knew kind of like, oh, it's the hood. It's kind of like a Black area. It's Black people here. We wouldn't see that. Or even if this was, say if this was outlined as like a and I know this seems weird, but just for the argument of, you know, the argument to be made, say if this was like a gay apartment building, like an apartment building, and it was nothing but LGBT community, and it was there for them to, you know, live and be safe and not worry about stuff, and they could just, you know, be kicking it and mind their business. We would never see the wanton destruction of something like that, which leads me to the general disregard for Black life in American culture. I can't speak for the UK, I can't speak for Asia, I don't know. But in America, through our movies, through our television, through the music, through the news and how things are covered, look at how Kyle Rittenhouse, as opposed to Jacob Blake, has been covered just recently. The continual disregard and minimalizing of the Black experience and Black life, then to sit down and then see it as entertainment, not only here, other shows do it too, but this is what was brought up in the tweet. I would make the argument that no, it's not being a drama queen. Yes, we live it every day. Now, whether you as a Black person decide to, you know, acknowledge it or experience it or live through it, that's another thing. But then you've also had the hyper rational responses of, oh, I didn't know superheroes were killing Black people every day, which is like, it's like, come on, I see where you're at. But what I would argue is, it's interesting that the people that came in with those hyper rational responses of the comic book is like this, well, the comic book is like that, I saw no, at least on my timeline, and I have timelines throughout, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, no one cared that Stormfront was now a woman. I didn't see all this woman stuff going through, but the second you say, hey, I'm kind of tired of seeing Black life just thrown around like it's nothing, then, oh, it's comic book time. It's got to stick to the comic book time. It's time to be hyper rational. Oh, you're just too sensitive. I do think you can enjoy a show, just like I think you can love someone and call them out on their flaws or call them out on stuff that you think isn't cool. Now, I can't
Right.
speak for, like, she called the guy yellow bastard. I think it's bad, but I can't speak for Asian people. I think it's bad, but I can't say, hey, Asian people, you shouldn't care about that. Too bad. Just live your life.
Right.
But I can speak on the black people thing. And I think it's a little much. And it'd be cool if we also saw scenes of heroes going through what would be considered like larger white or Jewish or LGBT communities and wrecking shop all through there. But whenever it comes time for like a larger shot of like, oh, we're just wonton destruction, because you can't count the plane because the plane had multicultural in it. That's not the same. When it comes
killed
to
a ton of white people on the show, and also way more gratuitously. I don't want to cut you off, but
go ahead.
I saw this tweet also. I didn't engage because I hadn't even gotten that far into the episode or into the series. And to be frank, I was disappointed that I felt like I had gotten a spoiler. So going into the episode,
oh sorry, I thought you had seen it.
No, it's fine. I was expecting much worse, honestly. I think in terms of the gratuitous violence that has been on the show, it's actually much more tasteful than most of what we've seen. I honestly, I don't understand this outrage, and that is not invalidating what everything else that you have said about media and its lack of value for black bodies. I don't think that this show is an example of that, but I would never disagree that that is a thing. I think in general that is very much a thing. And one of the reasons why I would say this show is not that is because it is actively making a point to show that racist people like Stormfront will go and wanton destruction of black lives for literally no reason. There is no reason why she needed to kill those people other than she wanted to because they were not white. And that was made clear by her. Like, she can fly. There's no reason she didn't have to do that. They weren't stopping her from chasing the dude. She literally just wanted to do that. And then she went on TV in a room full of people like the victims of her damage, and then was like, yeah, we're here to hand out water and help them. Like, that's a real racist, and that's real life. So that's why I think it's an important depiction in this show. Do I think in general black bodies are like violent, have violence committed to them, and all types of abuse in television entertainment, and also what we see in the news constantly? Am I tired of it?
Yeah,
unimaginably. But I don't think that this show is deserving of that. If anything, I think this show, you should give them the benefit of the doubt with what they've already shown in season 1, that they have very progressive leaning politics, and that this is not like, all right, we need someone to die wonton, let's just have the black people throw in because no one cares if they die. No, it was very purposefully, look at this neighborhood, this urban neighborhood where it's predominantly black, and she just comes and destroys it wonton, and Vought tries to use it as a publicity thing to avoid the new, to like try to cover up the news of the Compound V stuff by saying they like caught a terrorist. I think it's very, very integral to the plot. And to be honest, this is the kind of thing, as someone who has recently become, even further of a leftist than I was before, woke scolding is terrible, and we cannot do this to ourselves. And I think trying to come after things like this, which are actively, in my opinion, part of the solution of getting people to see the reality of the media themes and stuff that we engage in, I think that woke scolding something like this is actually counterproductive to the whole movement and what we're trying to do.
I'll say this, and then I was actually just informed that I have to go to dinner a little bit earlier than I thought. So I'll say this, I agree 100% with Nate, because this is something that, and this is what I was kind of trying to infer earlier. I'm not sure if I've kind of said, so I work in social media professionally. I do social media for an entertainment company, and I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. This is something that I kind of foresaw happening with Stormfront, but I wasn't aware of how bad this scene was going to be. I had an idea when I was told about it, but I was like, okay, fine. That said, I agree 100% Ray, because the whole purpose of this show is to kind of counter and kind of tell, like, this is celebrity culture. If superheroes did exist, the celebrities, they would be celebrities. They would probably be correct. Kind of what they kind of tackle in Man of Steel. Superman wouldn't be 100% Boy Scout. So I agree with what Nate's is saying. And what, like, look at Homelander. Homelander is, for all intents and purposes, in the season Trump right now. When you see that scene of his son starting to speak Spanish to his mother, and he's like, wait, what's that? It's the whole reason of what they're trying to tell. It's trying to make a really smart commentary on what is happening in society. Kind of the same way that Trump keeps on lying about COVID. They keep on trying to lie about the COVID numbers. He's trying to do all the stuff behind the scenes, but it's a distraction. Same way that they do in that scene with the press conference at the end of episode 3. So I really think, like, okay, woke kind of, let me try to contextualize this in the right way. There is a world for woke scolding when necessary, but we can't go after it willy-nilly, because we're going to lose a lot of these, books and TV shows and films that try to make smart commentary on our society through superheroes, political thrillers and such. So I think there is a world for it, but it always has to be contextual. There just has to be a purpose for it. It can't just be we're going after willy-nilly. Actually, we have to look at what the show is trying to say, more so than just the stuff that we see on the screen. We have to look deeper into the meaning of, okay, there is Black killings. Like, and saying, like, I am tired of it. I worked on When They See Us. I am tired of Black killings. I'm tired of Black Charlotte. But like Nate's saying, there is a purpose for it in this episode. And I'll agree that this episode isn't for, it's not just killing Black people. They're killing everyone. They're killing everyone, which is kind of like the purpose of the plane scene in season 1, where Homelander lets all the people die in season 1, kind of to show that this is a truly messed up individual that has no compunction of in what's right, what's wrong. He is just wrapped up in his own power and his own control. He was willing to let Queen May die. So that should show you, like, what they're actually trying to kind of say with this episode. So I will agree that, Blur Girl's right to kind of tell people, like, hey, watch out for this. But at the same time, we have to look deeper at what our media is trying to tell us on the TV show. This TV show in particular is trying to say. Same thing with Punisher. Same thing with, a lot of Hunger Games. They remark on what society could become and what it currently is. So that's what I'll say about this. But, I have to actually run, guys, because I gotta get to dinner, because I have a whole thing going.
Tell people where they can find you real quick.
Oh, well, I don't know if they want to follow me after this, but like, say Twitter, Instagram at Clement Bryant. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. And I'm sure we're going to talk about Boys season 2, episode 4, because that's going to be very interesting.
At least finale or something. The next whatever pack schedules, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
We'll figure something.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk
Peace,
about it.
peace.
All right, guys. Peace,
Out.
guys. Bye.
All right. So, it's with me responding to that. It's not a situation where I'm saying, no, I don't get the commentary they're making. But with her saying, like, for people that are, they're tired of this, or they're, basically saying, like, for those that might be, a little sensitive to this, beware. And I'm like, I do think in a lot of cases you can make a better statement. It's not that I don't get it.
I think that's totally fair. Like, it's good to warn people. I think within the context of the show, even outside of like plot wise and lore wise, I'm talking like viscerally graphics wise, there are so many more gratuitous, over the top violent deaths, that these deaths are so timid in comparison. We see the one guy, he gets flown into the refrigerator and there's some blood, and then there's somebody else that's like thrown out of a building, and then from there on we're just seeing damage to the building. Compare that to even the scene later where she snaps the guy's wrists with all kinds of blood and then chokes him to death. Like, we see a white lady's head explode. We've seen the white lady get her laser hair head bolt drilled through. Like, there is a ton of gratuitous
laser head bolt
gratuitous through. Again, like, in that exploitation film, pulp fiction film way, like enjoyable. Not even, maybe not enjoyable is the right word, but like excitable. Like it's intended to be entertainment. Just like when they blow up the invisible dude, like, and the guts get everywhere. Like it's way over the top, but that's also incredibly more gratuitous. So I don't want to say that those feelings are invalid, because no one's feelings are invalid. If someone watches that and they feel like I can't do this is too much, everyone has their own personal feelings and their own limits, and I think that's totally valid for them to say, like, hey, I just, so other people know, I had this reaction when I watched this, you guys should watch out. I just personally feel like in this show, it feels like a kind of a clickbaity, like, there's a new show coming out, there is something that's moderately controversial, so let's drive up the controversy so we can get more clicks.
What up? So moving on to that, when it comes to the CIA side and I guess you could say the hero side, where do you think we go from here? Because from what we see, it doesn't seem like the CIA is too keen on helping our heroes. Like it seems like they're willing to hear them out, but it doesn't seem like they're too keen on hearing them. Also, the I guess bargaining chip that they had is now gone. So are they back at square one? Do they have an end? Do they have a possibility to have their family protected if they can even be protected? Is there a way for them to get any kind of assistance?
Right.
Because right now they're in a basement at a comic book store.
Yeah.
and they don't really have a lot of help.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see more of the CIA involvement. So far, they haven't really portrayed them as anything other than just a force of good that wants to stop these corrupt superheroes. And I don't believe that someone like Garth Ennis or even this showrunner who understands the theory of this show would have a governmental agency like the CIA be just a good guy. So I think there's definitely going to be more that comes from it, especially with the head director getting her head blown up.
True that.
There's going to be some type of retribution, and I think it's actually very interesting because by making the choice of having Vought be a corporate company that's a separate entity that just has a contract with the U.S. government, we see this dichotomy of big government with their control still being kind of at opposition with a corporation entity who has these superpowered beings. So that makes a very interesting dichotomy to see what's going to happen when they kind of go at each other, especially with the legal angle being approached as well.
Yeah. And then we touched on it a little bit earlier about, like Vought kind of crumbling. So with Vought possibly crumbling, what do we, what's up? Hold on for later. When we think about them possibly crumbling and going to the wayside, is there anyone that could kind of rein in the Seven without the power of a Vought company? Like, is there like the ideas of like, is there someone that can be brought up? Is there some group besides the Scientology? They want to get their love. You know what I'm saying? They making sure they up in there.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that
love.
definitely may be another faction that's going to end up being a major player, maybe even in kind of like infiltrating the Seven and trying to control them in that way. But in general, like in this universe, you're not going to find very many good heroes.
Yeah.
It's just not the nature of the IP is anti-superhero. So most of the superheroes are going to be these broken people that are not what they portray themselves to actually be. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens, especially like them, giving more information into this. I keep forgetting the the Wonder Woman stand-in's character name, but
Maeve.
her interaction with Homelander, and also like, you know, the woman that she loves, like that also
was it Ella? No. I think it was Ella, but I'm probably messing up that name.
I'm gonna take notes up next episode, so I'll get all the names right. But seeing that dichotomy being set up, like we've already seen them kind of be at odds, and I think they're definitely setting her up to be, you know, even further against him in whatever is going to happen. I think they've set up a really cool season so far with these episodes.
Yeah, especially with, you know, the whole kind of, I guess you could say, you know, expose. You can see that Maeve is just kind of like done with it. She doesn't even seem like, when they were all walking together, like Stormfront and Homelander, you could see her kind of roll her eyes a little bit. She was just like, man, look, I don't care. I don't care anymore. She was over like they lied to us about these Compound V. My dad used me as like a get rich quick scheme. Like I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care about these people. I don't care about those people. I just want to go live my life with the woman I love, or maybe not love. I don't know. I know they still sort of together, but she's kind of protecting her. You know what I'm saying? You know, little something. But you know, she's clearly like jaded. And you know, do we have? I guess okay. Well, I'll put. What are you expecting to see from the rest of the season? I'll throw out something first. A fracture of the 7 with like kind of like head-to-head competing ideologies and maybe groups of heroes. You know, you got, you know, because it looks like the Scientology church is definitely sort of amassing heroes to their ideology somehow. And then I'm assuming, you know, your girl, what's her name? Starlight is not too keen on is not too keen on sticking around with the deep. Like she let that joint be known first. She was like, "Why are you here?
Yeah.
No, nobody, no."
That scene also too with the whale. Like I knew it was gonna happen, but oh man.
Man, I was like, when he landed, I was like, oh man, he blocked their you know path, and I was like, oh no, don't you do it, and it was like, okay. The deep be getting mad animals killed. All right. Well, maybe not mad animals killed. There's been 2 that we know of.
It's so funny I just feel
too, like I feel like he's mad dangerous to animals.
And his whole thing is him talking to the animals, so like he knows their pain. Like when he's talking about like
I was here for Lucy, and he was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
When I was a kid, going to the aquarium to Red Lobster.
Yo, man, but shouts to that actor because when he said that the goldfish were begging for their lives, I kind of felt that a little bit. I kind of felt that.
Yeah, he put his feeling into it.
So it's like it's weird because he can understand these you know these creatures of the deep, but it's weird, man. He comes out. Dag, he doesn't come off being as cool. And then even when he kind of sort of comes to grips with his gills, you know, they have their bro moment when he's like tripping, you know, then of course Homelander's like, your gills are showing, it's disgusting, and just walks off. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he can't win. I mean, it's like he's cheesy, but and I know because Garth Ennis doesn't like superheroes in general. And, you know, Garth Ennis isn't too keen on superheroes or God in general. But
yes, he is very anti-religion.
Yeah, but it would be nice to see a Aquaman like Aquaman in Injustice, you know, like in Justice Gods Among Us or something. Like if you play that fighting game, Aquaman is sweet. All right, Aquaman is mad sweet. He's cool. He's got mad tactics and skills. And
Aquaman is so lame. He's always been lame. They try so hard. Like, nah.
Aquaman is like, he can be sweet. Like we had the arm chopped off.
Very situational. Very situational. Okay.
But he's still has super strength.
It's your time to shine.
Oh man.
I
But
want to. Jenna James said in the chat, favorite moment is when the Supes find out about Compound V and Black Noir cries. Black Noir
yeah,
was probably my favorite character in the last season, just because of like all the weird stuff that they have him doing. But then him opening up the season with
yeah.
this like crazy Black Ops mission, I was like, finally they give him some action. And then later, like after showing to be a hard ass, they have the announcement, and he's like just starts sobbing in his suit. It's so
Because
good. It's
because
so
it's
good.
to all the heroes that thought they were special. Now it's like, well, no, you're not. And for someone feeling like, if someone's been their head's been blown up all this time, their whole life, like, yo, you the best, you strong, you blessed from birth. Oh, the capes for Christians or Christianity for capes or whatever. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Jesus did this, and you so strong and you so powerful, you amazing, blah blah. It's just you, and you were one of the select few. And it's like, nah, you were made. You're a baby. You were a baby just like any other baby. We gave you this Compound V. And what happened to that baby that they were shooting people with the laser with? Anyway, just forget that baby. But
I think that baby dies.
oh snap! All right, never mind. Look, in my head canon, that baby is safe somewhere. Just, I don't know, doing baby things, whatever. But to see Noir like crying, it's like, yeah, man, you ain't that special. I mean, you're lucky to have been chosen. Approached by the Vought company, and your parents allowed it, but nah, they can make 2, 3, 400 more of you if they really
you're
want
replaceable.
it. Yeah,
I think also too, like, specifically what the Deep touched on is like this experience of like some of them with their powers had rough childhoods because of it, and like
yeah,
we don't really know anything about Black Noir, except for he obviously is like somewhat of a Batman parallel. So I'm
yeah.
assuming he also has some tragic death with his parents, and he's probably crying because he's like, wait, my parents died for nothing or something.
And
It's like,
apparently his suit is like the most suitiest suit, because regardless, that was still a real explosion that you were 3 feet away from, 4 feet
yeah.
maybe.
Oh, he
And
has
when we
powers.
flash back, oh well, yeah, I forgot, he's not just human; he also has powers.
Yeah, he's
But
definitely
when we
got
flash
powers.
back,
In this,
it's just
he's
like
not.
it's like a little like ointment burn. Like he needs just a little like Neosporin. Like that's it. And I was like, okay, what is your power exactly? Because they don't never really get into, like, we know Homelander is basically Superman. We know Starlight has light, absorption and emission powers. We know
Yeah.
Maeve is basically, Wonder Woman. But in the Deep, he can talk to animals or talk to sea creatures. But Noir is just like, I don't know, super sweet. Like, I don't know. Oh man, Jenny James says relationship with Homelander will be tumultuous. Eventually, they will become allies since they both seem to want the same thing. Maybe even enter into a sexual relationship. But ultimately, she will be the big bad of the season that the boys have to take out by the end, referring to Stormfront. You know what? I'd really like to see them kind of not get involved romantically, because that hateration in his eyes, that player hating from the sideline,
Yeah, I don't know.
that was real. He was like, "That's my speech you given."
I think parts of those predictions are right. I do. I mean, I do
Yeah.
think that they will become allies, not because they agree on things, but I think because they're forced to as part of the Seven.
True.
I definitely
True.
agree that she is the big bad of the season, outside of Gustavo Fring and the Vought stuff. But he's playing the same character. I love him to
Yeah.
death. Don't get me wrong; he's been a fantastic actor for years. But ever since Breaking Bad, he just plays Gustavo Fring. And don't get me wrong, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, I think
Because he was not scared at all.
I think what will happen is there'll be some conflict, and in a similar way that like the Kimiko's brother like saved them, I think Stormfront will be at a point where she's like about to end the boys or something, and like it's gonna be like really bad, and then Homelander is gonna come in and actually just like kill her, and then it'll be like, oh, you saved us, but then he'll be like, nah, actually, like I'm gonna do her plan.
Actually, she was getting on my nerves.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be something like that. Where and then it'll set up for again him being like the big bad for season 3 or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely that's a good prediction. I'm really excited too because they've already announced that they're working on season 3, and they announced like the Soldier Boy stuff, which is a comic book character.
Yeah.
And he even gets like a little bit of a name drop in one of the meetings in one of the episodes. So I'm really excited for them to build out more of the lore of the world, more of the other characters and the other players involved. I think that they have already done a great job in deep diving to what we already have. So I'm excited to get more expanded. In the comic books, there's another team called Payback, which is basically like Avengers knockoff. And their whole thing is that they're like, second to the Seven the whole time. And Stormfront is actually on that team. So it's interesting that they've instead incorporated Stormfront into 7. I don't know if we're still going to see Payback in some form. Also, the Archer dude is in Payback, so there's a possibility that we might see like a Civil War kind of a parody thing where we see another superhero team come in and like tying conflict, like maybe when Vought starts to fall apart, or just like their contract with Homelander ends, or the 7 ends or something, maybe they bring on a different team, and then now there's conflict between this new team.
Like Payback is the Scientology team or something.
Like, right, exactly. Or like we get a what's that plot line where Oscorp Green Goblin becomes like president or something, and then he becomes Iron
Dark
Patriot.
Avengers?
Yeah, exactly. So we might get something of that kind of thing where like, I mean, the 7's already pretty dark, but there might be another team that kind of replaces them.
Was he in charge of the Thunderbolts?
Yes. Yeah.
Thunderbolts? So
which was
maybe like
basically like Thunderbolts is basically Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So guys, with that said, we have exorcised the demons of these 3 episodes. I think it's off to a good start. A lot of character movement. It was sad to see the CIA deputy director die because they ain't got too many.
That was unexpected too. It was just
they ain't got too many allies. I knew something was wrong when her nose started bleeding though, but they ain't got too many allies. But from the chat, big shout out to Marquise Collins, Boogsworthy, Jamal Lee, Muhammad, Blurtish, Keith, and Mark. Shouts to both of y'all. Boogsworthy, Jenna James in the spot, Jessu in here, Cassandra Sellers. I know I'm missing some people. Zeus was in here. That might be it. I know there's some lurkers, but I think that might be. Oh, Ghost Des in the house. Of course, the one and only Nate Miller holding it down in the chat as well. And KB23. See, that might be it. If I missed you, I do apologize. Oh, Tyler Bennett in the house. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless I'm tripping, I think that's it. If I missed you, my bad. But over here, the one, the only, super soldier.
That's me.
Of commentary, Nate Miller.
I might use that actually. That's pretty good. Super soldier commentary. Yeah, my name is Nate Miller. You can find me everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at DogLikeNate. That's dog with 2 G's. Please come find me out, argue with me, tell me why my opinions are wrong. Love to have that discussion with you. But yeah, this was a really good episode. I think we had some really good topics, and this is an interesting show, and I'm glad that we got to have this discussion together.
Yo, this is what it's all about, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Breaking it down, getting real, really real. No, I'm just playing. But NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube is the hub. Hit that thumbs up if you like what you see. Hit that thumbs down if you don't. But if you hit that thumbs down, I'm going to send war after you. All right? He's going to beat you up. Then he's going to cry. Then podcast if you rather listen. If you don't want to look or listen, just open up a tab. Help a brother out. I mean, come on. They got Spotify for music. Holla at your boy. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Keep the conversation going. And we'll either come back every episode or for the finale, we'll figure out something. But we'll be back. So we're going to bounce with, of course, Arcatron, ARCKATRON.com. Dope beats, incredible Space Bridge album out for y'all now. So, of course, from us to you, we're saying peace. Thanks for chilling, and we out. We out. Peace, y'all. Oh, man.